So my sand that I collected from the pond has dried, and I'm going to sift it through this to get the larger particles out and just keep the finer in this container that I'll mix with the clay later. Okay, today is, what's the date? November 27th? 28th? One of those days. And I found this wonderful piece of plywood on the side of the road and picked it up, and it's just what we need for mixing clay. So I've divided our clay that's been drying into 6, and my trusty helper Dominic is going to explain what we're going to do next with our clay. What is 20% of our blob of clay?
Probably like at least like maybe this much probably.
One piece?
Yeah, 1 piece.
And so what would be an estimate of 20% of...
Estimate?
Yeah, we're estimating 20%. And how much of the sand is going to be used? Oh yeah, temper is the word. We're going to add temper.
You need at least 2.
2 of those? Okay. 2 tablespoons right there in the middle of the...
You want me to spill on top?
Like right about here.
You want me to spill on top of it?
Yep, right on there. And then we're going to dump our clay in there and start working it in. And we'll see how it works. Yeah, very good. Well, apparently this is too wet still, even after we've added the sand. So I'm going to have to think of a good way to let this dry, or we're in a pickle.
Looks like it.
Since the clay we've been processing is much too sticky, I've put it back into the cloth bag, hoping that will get some of the moisture out of there and make it workable. And I also decided I'm going to process the rest of the clay that I got from the Mississippi River. So I'm just making it into a slurry, and then I'm going to strain it out. And I found a different bag that I'm going to use. There's breakfast. That looks like it could work pretty well. And so I'll pour it into here and see how it works for drying. I also have this other cloth, but this one too much might go through it. So anyway, I'll do a test run on this bag and see if it can hold in there, and then it'll dry better. I think having put the clay blob into the cloth definitely did the trick for drying it down to the right temperature, the right consistency. Because look at it now, way different. Touch it and it doesn't get on your finger. So this is now perfect for trying to model into a pot. So until I can get to it, I'm going to wrap it in saran wrap and keep it until I'm ready to work with it in actuality. And then I have my other batch here settling, and I'm going to pour that off into a bag. It does have some organic inclusions in it that I'm not sure. I'll have to try to work out of it. I've got my mesh bag now in a bucket, and I'm going to stir this up a little bit, make it as liquid as possible, and pour it in here and see if we can, hopefully all of it'll be contained and not too thin of a weave where a lot of it goes through. But then we'll just let this thing dry for a long time, and we'll have some good clay, just like my other little pad. As you can see, I don't have this as clean as my other batch was. It does have some inclusions that didn't get sifted out, and I think the problem was I did not process this with enough water. So if I ever do this again, I will use more water. But we'll see what happens. So I'm going to pour it into this bag. And let's see what we've got in here. Yeah. I'll get it all. Well, I mean, you do add some some things back in, so maybe there'll be enough temper from what's left in this clay that it'll be all right. Okay, so here's our look in there. We'll just let that drain through and dry in a big wad in the bag.